All right, so this is going to be late. Of course, everyone knows that my videos are always late because I try to wait till I can find something for free before I watch it. So I finally saw this. I remember being young, going to see Gladiator in the theaters. One of the greatest movies I had seen at the time.
The frost. Sometimes it makes the blade stick.
Great cinematography, just, beautiful costumes, great effects, scenery, lines. It was just everything in that movie was great. So when they announced this, I'm like, there's no reason to do a sequel to the movie. The guy dies, his son dies, his wife dies. He accomplishes his mission. It's a one and done story. They decide to do a fucking sequel. Okay, let's try to watch the sequel. So I fire it up. They have the first beginning battle where the guy is in some kind of village, I guess, and the Romans come to conquer the village, and the guy has to fight. And this movie, before I get started, this movie wasn't a horrible movie. It had some great action sequences, some great camera work. The acting was pretty good from mostly everybody.
Did you hear that crowd?
The greatest temple Rome ever built. The Colosseum.
It wasn't a bad movie, but when you decide to do a sequel to something so great, it's going to be judged against that. And so when you look at this movie, because you're judging it against the first Gladiator, this movie is kind of crap compared to that first film. So you're kind of comparing everything to that first film. So they start off, they have this big fight scene, and there's boats and all this stuff, and it looks like it's supposed to be epic. And the effects don't look that great compared to back then, which is bad. This is over 2 decades in the future, so the effects should look a lot better, but it looked a little bit cheaper, I guess. Besides that, because when they're showing Pedro Pascal on the boat and there's like wind in his hair and the boat's moving along, it felt like he was at a green screen. That's how it felt, and you shouldn't feel that. I remember in the first movie, Russell Crowe is fighting a tiger, and I thought for years that I was like, wow, that was some really good choreography and how they managed to have that tiger in that scene. It looked like the tiger was there. Lo and behold, find out the tiger was CGI, was added in, not CGI, but added in. Was it CGI? I don't know, but it was added in. There was no real tiger there swiping at Russell Crowe, but it looked so real, and that was in the year 2000. So now I don't expect to see crap effects. Everything should be pristine and perfect, like it was over 2 decades ago. So when I'm noticing little things, I'm noticing them, and they're standing out. So the first battle, it wasn't great to me only because I'm comparing it to that first movie, and it just felt like beat for beat. They're just following it beat for beat, the same thing that they did for the first movie. So it also felt cheap and lazy, that the way that the story is moving and progressing. So this story goes on, and the battle is, I guess it's a good battle. For younger generations, it's probably a big deal, but for someone like me, I've been alive for a long time. I've watched the movies from the 60s to now. I'm sorry, from the 30s to now. So, I've seen all this stuff. I've seen these types of big scenes, big action sequences, and big set pieces and all that stuff. So if you're not doing anything spectacular, then it's just the same old, same old. And Ridley Scott, you did it better before. So now I can tell you're just being a little lazy now. And so you're going to get critiqued. So it's not that big of a deal anymore. This didn't stand out to me. It just felt like, oh, well, they're going to try to copy what is done in other movies that came out before, and it felt like it felt lazy. That's how it felt. And then stupid stuff is happening. The guy is the lead character is with his wife or his girlfriend, whoever she is, and they're in like this shitty little farm, and then the fight happens. So they've established that this guy loves this woman, but they're going off to battle. This lady is an archer. She's standing on top of a wall firing arrows, and he's fighting. He's not paying no attention to her. This is your wife. Maybe you should be near her to protect her, or maybe you guys should run to another city or something. Go to another continent. But they're fighting. She's standing out firing arrows. The other team has arrows too, and they're shooting arrows. She's not ducking behind cover. She's just standing there shooting. So she gets shot. And the husband, the hero, is surprised and he's sad. I'm watching. I'm like, come on, dude. You knew. What did you think was gonna happen to her? You just left her up on the wall, and this idiot doesn't know to hide behind cover after she takes a shot. It's it doesn't. You don't get the in the first movie. You know the first battle obviously was great, but when you're talking about the loss that Russell Crowe had to go through, even though he didn't get to see it, we saw it and we felt it. This guy's wife and his son are betrayed. I mean, the fucking soldiers run down the little boy on their horses. it's it's and you can look at that scene and feel the anguish and the despair that happens when his family is killed and he goes back and he finds their burnt corpses. That really stuck with you. That was really well done. Here, this guy's wife, I mean, you're not protecting her. You're just running the field. And she's standing out in the open and at the top of a wall inviting archers to shoot her. So she gets shot. She falls down, she dies, and he's crying and stuff. And I don't feel it because I'm like, dude, this just doesn't make any sense to me. So then he gets shot. He's not paying attention. And it's just... I nitpick at a lot of stuff. So people probably watch my videos and just sigh and change and stop and move on to something else because they think I'm stupid. But I nitpick at a lot of stuff. So a lot of things kind of stand out to me. After he gets shot, he doesn't get shot. That was the thing. I'm sorry. I saw this a couple days ago, so I'm kind of forgetting parts. He doesn't get shot. So he's they're on this battlefield. Everybody is wielding a blade and a sword. Right? Everybody's got a sword. Everyone's killing each other. His wife gets shot with an arrow. She falls down. He gets distracted because his wife just died. And he looks up. He's like, no. And he stops paying attention. And one of the opponents is this, out of all the soldiers on the field, he just happens to be caught from behind by a soldier that don't have a sword. He has like a billy club stick, hits him in the back of the head and knocks him out. I guess you can say, look, they're trying to kidnap people, but I don't think that's the case. I think they just happen to get prisoners of war. But in the battle, you're killing people. You're not knocking people out. And this isn't a slave catching expedition. This is a battle. And he just happens to come across somebody that don't have a sword. Why did this one person not try to kill him? So the guy knocks him out. He falls down. He wakes up, and he's in the water. And then there's just too much stuff that out of convenience. His dead wife's body just happens to be in the water right where he was. She was on a wall far away. How did she get near him now? Her dead corpse. Her dead corpse is there, and then he stands up, and the enemy soldiers are like behind him, just standing there. Like, where's the urgency? Don't you want to make sure this guy doesn't run off or turn around and attack you? They're like just walking by, and okay. So he gets captured, and then he's in the boat with the I guess he's a African guy that's his friend. And again, it's mirroring the first movie where Russell Crowe is traveling with Djimon Hounsou. It just seemed like they're copying it beat for beat, and again, it's feeling lazy. So whatever. He gets to the town, and I'm kind of going to be skipping all over the place. This isn't going to be that long. I promise this time. He gets there, and they start. He goes into the first game, right? And there are these baboons. The baboons look fake as shit, and the baboons look like they're all bald, but the baboons look like a cartoon. They look very bad compared to that tiger scene that I talked about earlier in the first movie. This looks comical. It's so bad. So he's fighting some baboons, and it's a really brutal looking battle. Like, these are like demonic, drugged up baboons. They like shoot them with some kind of drug. You know, they have like the virus from 28 Days Later, I guess, and they're shooting it at the monkeys, and the monkeys get all hyper, and they start killing. And this guy, he kills, I think, one or two. He survives. And this may sound weird because I don't remember the scene exactly, but he survives the battle. They all go back to everyone's like, oh, wow, and they're praising him. They go back to the pen underground, and everyone's looking at him like surprised, like he survived, like he did this great thing. but all he did was survive. It's not as if he was the lone survivor in the battle. There were other gladiators that lived too and killed monkeys. The monkeys didn't just pass out. The other guys obviously defeated them and survived. There were other survivors. So why are they looking at this one guy as if, oh, he did the impossible? Well, what about all those other guys that survived? It's just, stuff is being done to copy the first movie, but they're not putting any effort into writing it. And then when they edit it, they're not noticing this stuff. Why is everyone so surprised that this guy survived? All those other men survived. Okay, so then they, I don't even remember what happens next. Then they have these other battles, and a lot of just dumb stuff starts happening. The Denzel Washington character, I think Denzel Washington did it, probably was the best part of the movie, but that's not really saying much. His lines weren't that great. He was speaking in more of an American accent, which, I guess that shouldn't be a big deal because these people aren't speaking Latin. They're all speaking different languages and stuff like that. But they're all kind of speaking a common accent, I guess, which kind of brings everything together. But either way, no one should have an American accent. I mean, you shouldn't have a British accent either, but you know why it's British so that people can understand the language or whatever. If they're not going to film it in Latin, and you expect, I guess they're going to film it in English. But then you got a character walking around with like a quasi-American accent. It just didn't feel right. His lines weren't great, but the way that he delivered them and the way that he went through each scene, he added his own little thing, which is what he always does. So that made his character stand out. Of course, he's a black male, so they had to throw in some homo stuff in there as well. But his character was fine. I think he was probably the best thing in the movie. The main character, I didn't finish the movie. I'm towards the end, after one of the emperors got his head cut off and Denzel is basically taking over. So I don't know what happens all the way at the end. Maybe I'll do a follow up and add it to this one. If I don't, that's why I'm saying this now. But Denzel Washington. No, I'm sorry. The main actor. I want to talk about the main actor. The main actor. I don't know why they picked this guy. This is why I always make the joke that somebody is having sex with somebody in Hollywood, because there's decisions made that I don't understand. This guy's Russell Crowe proved himself to be a great actor before he was cast in Gladiator for two movies, The Insider and L.A. Confidential. He proved that I'm a great actor. I can do this. He proved that he can play the role of a tough guy. He seemed like, all right, that's why they picked him. You understood why. This guy, I don't know who this guy is. Never seen him before. That's not a bad thing, but it's not a bad thing if the guy is good for the role. This guy wasn't, I guess, bad for the... Well, he was bad for the role because it's the lead role, and he doesn't bring anything to the role. The character was irrelevant. He didn't have any he didn't have any pull. There was no reason to follow behind him. Maximus, you understood why people followed behind him, because not only did he prove himself in battle, but he also had the people also found out that this guy was a general that led armies. This guy led armies into battle successfully. So people followed him. They said, "Oh, well, this guy not only showed us that he can do it, but he also is supposed to have a track record of being this great leader." So they followed him. This guy, they don't know him from nobody. He survived some attacks, some battles, and then he's leading people. Why are people listening to him? Every other gladiator just dies in every battle. I mean, the other gladiators do just what he does. They survive and go on to the next fight, but no one's following each other. They just happen to follow him because the story said to follow him. Laziness. The story didn't feel like it needed to be made. The first Gladiator, a lot of these movies, the first movies when they come out, they're this new thing and it's this great. This is just, you could tell it's just a cash grab. You didn't need to make it. There was no need for a follow-up. No one asked for a follow-up or sequel. So when you're producing this, okay, why are you producing it? And then you do a half-assed job at it. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to critique it now. I'm going to critique it a little bit more. So I'm gonna go and watch the rest of the movie probably in a little bit, and then finish the recording. I just wanted to do this while it was fresh in my mind. So, give me a second. I'll be right back.
Whose head could I give you that would satisfy this fury?
The entire Roman armies.
Too much?
The general will do.
All right, so I just finished watching The Gladiator. There's not much to add, but there's stuff that I forgot. So I'm going to be going all over the place, but it's just stuff that I wanted to talk about that was ridiculous. So, first of all, when I don't know these people's names, the hero of the movie, when Denzel Washington is kind of like trying to break everybody in, he kind of calls him to the front, and then he has his head man, so this bald guy, fight him. So they fight each other, and the guy's supposed to beat him up, and the hero's supposed to beat him up and win. Whatever, generic standard scene that they do in all the movies. This is a generic cartoon movie. So the guy, they give him some gloves, and I'm like, oh, what are the gloves for? He decides not to use the gloves. But the bald guy, he puts on the gloves, and the gloves are like these metal plates with these really thick looking spikes on them. And I hope people can go back and watch this scene. They're fighting, and the guy is, initially the guy is, winning. He's hitting him in the face with these spiked gloves. He don't leave no marks, no blood. He's punching him straight in the face. The hero's not wearing a helmet or a metal mask, a leather mask. He's not wearing any kind of armor. This guy's punching the shit out of him with these Iron Maiden type gloves, and nothing's happening. I mean, he's getting knocked down from the punches, but what's happening with the spikes? What are the spikes on the gloves for? Why put on the gloves if they don't do anything? I'm watching the screen and I'm saying, do they not remember that the guy is supposed to be wearing spiked gloves? They're gloves with the fist is turned into like a bed of spikes. So when you punch somebody in the face, it's going to puncture their skin and crack bone. And God. And then they go and they have another gladiator scene, and they flood the Coliseum, and somehow I don't know how back then. I mean, I know how you could do it now, but back then I don't know how they would do this. They flood the Coliseum, which is something you can't do, and then they put sharks in it. How did they get the sharks? How did they transport the sharks from the sea and place them in the Coliseum? What did they do with the sharks afterwards? These movies are made for fools. I was like, wait, how did they turn the Coliseum into a moat? It's a Coliseum. It's got like sub-levels. Oh my gosh. Then switch over to the two emperors, I guess. I wasn't paying that much attention. There's a lot of times in these movies where I'm just not paying attention, so maybe I missed something. I don't know. But who were these two guys that were the emperors? Who were they? Were they the son of Joaquin Phoenix? Were they his kids or something? Because at the end of the first movie, I thought that at the end of that movie, when Joaquin Phoenix died, that was the emperor dying, and the Senate was going to take over. Fast forward to this, and the Senate is still prisoners to an emperor. I don't understand what happened. Who are these guys? Where'd they come from? And why did the Senate put them into power? And it's they just like negated the whole purpose, the whole ending of the first movie. I don't understand that. I don't get it. And why would a Senate, I mean, what is the Senate there for? Why would the Senate put these two guys in charge? One guy is like an inexperienced, I mean, both of them are like psychotic. One of them seems very inexperienced and timid, and the other one is literally retarded. They got like a psychotic pussy and a retard as emperors. Why would they choose these people and then let them remain in power? They don't have any voting power? What was the Senate doing? What was their job? Why were they there? Why were they needed? And then his mother and her husband decide, well, we're gonna do we're gonna do a coup, just like in the last movie. It's the same old, it's the same shit from the first movie. Everything transfers over into this movie. They're gonna do a coup and try to get rid of the emperors so that the Senate can rule. Or the Caesars, whatever I'm calling them, emperor, the head people, I don't know. So they go and they're like, well, we need the help of the Senate. So, first of all, you live in a world, especially in a empire, where deceit, deception, and lies is a way of life. Why would they go to the senators and just take their word and just say, well, are you going to be on our side? And the senators say yes, and they say, all right, that means they're not going to turn on us. And then they only talk to 2 senators. They only talked to 2 senators. There were a whole bunch of other senators they didn't even talk to. They just talked to these 2, and they said, we're on your side. That's it. We got all the votes we need. There was like 19 or 20 of these senators. Oh my God. Pedro Pascal's character, the main character is such a shitty character. I'm wondering why the Pedro Pascal character, that was the interesting character. This guy who was conflicted, he was conquering these places, but I guess he didn't really want to. He didn't, it felt like a waste of life to him and a waste of energy and time, and it's not something he wanted to do, but he had to do it. And this guy is like, he's as tough as nails. I mean, he is kick ass. And then they kill him off like halfway through the movie. I'm like, dude, you should have kept him. If you're gonna make a fictional story, then these are fictional characters. Just keep him in until the end. Maybe kill him off at the end, but this is a cool character.
Tears on the mausoleum floor. Blood stains the Coliseum door.
The decisions these people make. You kill him off, and we're stuck with this fucking. All right. Is there anything else I had to mention that I didn't mention before? I don't think so. If I did, I'll bring it up again. So now let's go to the end of the movie, the part that I just finished watching. So, Pedro Pascal's character dies. They're gonna kill the mom, and so the hero tells the background prop non-white character that they have in these movies that's just a backup loser character to the more masculine male white characters, that the backup prop non-white, I don't know what he was, black or Middle Eastern, I don't know, the guy that healed him and all that stuff. And speaking of the guy that healed him, I'm watching it, and what's the guy's name? Maximus's son, I don't know his name. The hero, the protagonist, he's like cut up and beat up, and so this Middle Eastern guy is like healing him. Yeah, not healing him. He's like tending to his wounds, and they're having this conversation. I guess they're supposed to be developing some kind of friendship, I guess, which was failed. I didn't really recognize their friendship, but they start to develop a friendship, and while they're doing it, the protagonist is like staring at him in this like loving, gay way. I didn't even notice it at first. I had talked to my wife about, because Denzel Washington had spoke about, a scene where he's kissing a man, and that I think he said it was removed, and people have been talking about, there's some gayness for Denzel. They finally got some gayness on Denzel in these movies. And I told my wife about it, so she didn't even want to see the movie. But she walks into the room remembering what I said, and she's watching this scene where the protagonist and the Middle Eastern guy are together, and the Middle Eastern guy's tending to his wounds. And she was like, is this the homosexual character? And I was like, no, he's not. He's the main star. Maybe he's homosexual in real life. She said that because the way he's looking at the Middle Eastern guy, it's like this longing, weird way. You ever been to a doctor's office and the doctor is tending to or a dentist, and they're right in your face? You're not like staring at them longingly. So I was like, what is this guy, gay? What's going on here? So anyway, that was just a side thing. But at the end of the movie, the hero tells the Middle Eastern guy, take this ring and go give it to this general, and tell the general I'm the son of whatever. And he goes to give it to the general. So the Middle Eastern guy heads out. He goes, finds his general, and gives him the ring. And the general has this look on his face. What I'm ultimately trying to say is this: a lot of stuff in this movie, a lot of these scenes aren't earned. They're not built up enough. The expression on this general's face is like, oh my God, this great hero is still alive and we need to go and protect him. This is just some kid who got sent off. This is the son of a princess who was sent off a long time ago. He's not really relevant anymore. I mean, the way the general's look, and it's not like the general is old enough. The general looks like he's the same age as the hero of the movie. So it's not like he's old enough to have known of this kid and heard stories of him. More than likely, this guy don't never heard of this kid, and even if he did, it was just some story about history in passing. He wouldn't have that expression on his face like Lucius. He wouldn't have that expression. It would be more of like, wait, Luther, he's still alive. It would be like maybe a look of confusion, and maybe he'll act on it. But the look on his face was like they announced that Gandalf had appeared. I'm like, oh, okay, this kid is back. He gave you this ring. He didn't even ask, oh, what is this for? What am I supposed to do with this? Was there some secret plan in place we didn't know about? Who was this general? And then at the end of the movie, this general shows up with like thousands of men. What were these guys doing? They were just on vacation waiting. Where did all these soldiers come from? And what were they doing while they had all this free time to just travel to the Rome and fight somebody and get involved in a war that they had no knowledge about? This whole thing just did not make any sense. Anyway, so he gives that, and the generals come back. Then you have these other scenes. The mother's about to get killed, and I guess you're supposed to feel sorry for her. I didn't feel sorry for her. I mean, this dumb whore, she gives birth to this kid. She doesn't tell him who his dad is. This guy went through his whole life not knowing who his father was, because his mom just decided to withhold that information. Then she just sends her kid off. Bye. The kid goes to fuck all who knows where, and the mother's still living a lavish lifestyle in Rome with her new husband. I don't care if this bitch dies. She doesn't sound like a good person. So they're there to kill the mom, and the son, the hero of the movie, he's giving this speech to the gladiators in the sub-levels. And the gladiators all decide they're going to follow him. This is why I call it lazy. The first movie, their admiration for Russell Crowe's character made sense. Again, if I didn't say it earlier, because Russell Crowe not only proved it in battle, they were able to see. I mean, in that movie they showed battle sequences where you could tell, well, the focus is on Maximus because he did something outstanding in the battle. This new hero, Lucius, he didn't do anything outstanding. He just survived an assault the same way all the other surviving gladiators did. So there should be no special recognition like, oh wow, this guy's great. That wouldn't exist. So Maximus, he showed it. He showed that I'm this great fighter. And then it's revealed that this guy is a general who has led armies, who has fought in countless battles. I mean, like world-deciding battles. World-renowned general. So they had this respect for him, and they decided, oh, well, we'll follow him, because, I mean, this guy has a track record of winning, obviously.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius, commander of the armies of the North, general of the Felix Legions, loyal servant to the true emperor, Marcus Aurelius.
He's like a political prisoner now, but obviously this guy was a great general. Everybody knows him. We've even heard of him. So they follow him. This guy, nobody knows who he is because you don't find out till the end. He don't even really know who he is to the full extent. He hasn't really proven himself in any way. Yet all these gladiators are like, yep, we're going to sacrifice ourselves for you. The laziness in these fucking stories, it doesn't make any sense. Even in the first Gladiator movie, there was no scene where Russell Crowe rallies all the gladiators, some of which who have never even talked to him. There were some men that fought alongside him when they needed to, and they would fight with him, as to kind of help. And it was mostly they fought behind him in battles where they were involved. They had to be involved in anyway. It wasn't every gladiator just like, well, that guy over there said we should follow him and throw our lives away for him. Let's do it. These movies are really made for idiots. Who's going to watch that scene and believe that these guys are going to follow him? Why would they follow him? Most of them would just come out and run and they have their freedom. I have an opportunity. I mean, imagine you're a gladiator. You're a prisoner. You're forced to fight. And then you find out that this other gladiator is going to stage a revolt and a coup and cause a big distraction. Are you going to stay around and sacrifice yourself for his cause? Or are you just going to run away in the confusion and get your freedom back? Go get a job somewhere in Rome as a fucking delivery boy and just live your life free. Who's going to just throw their lives away? I don't even know this. There were so many gladiators. There's no way this guy could have known all of them and talked to them and have a relationship with them. Why would they just say, yeah, I'm going to sacrifice my life for you? It's just so stupid. He gives this bullshit speech about there's a battle greater than us. And they're like, you know what? Yeah, there is a battle greater than us. And I want to die. Today's the day to die. Shit makes no sense. There's just so much shit in all of these movies that just makes no sense. So, there's the big battle. They're having a big fight in the Coliseum. The gladiators are fighting the soldiers, and Lucius goes to save his mother, and Denzel Washington is like, "Look, I want this bitch dead. I'm gonna kill her." He said, "Give me a bow." Shoots that bitch in one shot and kills her right in the chest. She's dead, and Lucius looks and he sees it's Denzel Washington. He's like, I'm gonna go get him. And then in the next scene, Denzel Washington is like, he leaves the Coliseum, gets on a horse and books. Right behind him is Lucius. How many people that are listening to this have ever been to a stadium to see a sporting event? Have you ever tried to get out of a sporting event? I'm sorry. How easy is it to get out of the damn stadium? It's not that easy. You can't get out of the stadium that quick. Imagine you're in the middle of the stadium and you have to get to an exit. It's not that easy, especially when there's chaos and people are dying and fighting. And there's all this chaos and havoc happening all around you. It's not that easy getting out of the stadium. This guy just went he was literally in the middle of the Coliseum. And did he teleport out of the Coliseum? How did he catch up to Denzel Washington? And then there was just a horse standing there waiting. Oh my God, I can't stand it. These movies are so bad that they can be funny. So it's just a horse is just waiting for him. So he jumps on a horse and he takes off and he goes after Denzel Washington. And he catches up to him, and then there's these two armies. It's like 1,000, like, I don't know, 8,000-10,000 men just there. I mean, these two armies, there is no like real command or nothing. There's just somebody just says, hey, I want you to go here and kill. You got it. Everybody get your stuff and let's go. It's that easy to rally armies. I felt like I was watching West Side Story, and there was like just two gangs fighting. These are armies. These guys had to all get dressed, get their weapons, their provisions, get their horses. The other side had to do the same thing, get in formation, march. These guys did that shit almost immediately. At least the other side that Lucius called, at least they had from the day before they knew. The army behind Denzel Washington, they found out literally like 30 minutes ago. And they all got all their gear. All these people just sit in their gear. Are they like robots? They're like plugged in, charging, waiting to just be programmed to go to war? These people aren't at home with their families? I'm pretty sure they'd have to say, hey, go rally everybody, get them together, get their gear, get dressed, get your weapons, warm up. No, no. These guys are just ready to start marching. So the armies are there, and of course the army, for some reason they stop. I don't know why Denzel Washington didn't just say charge. He don't give any commands. He decides, I'm gonna fight this younger kid by myself. So he gets off his horse and proceeds to beat the shit out of this kid. We're supposed to believe that this Gladiator is this, like, untouchable badass. But Pedro Pascal basically beats him like a child and has to surrender at the end. And then a senior citizen in robes beats him up. So he's a tough badass only when the script calls for it, and then when it doesn't call for it, he's incompetent. I mean, I'm like, why is he? Is he gonna fight Denzel Washington at the end? Denzel Washington is in his 70s. He's gonna fight this guy. So that I'm gonna lose some respect for the hero. He's beating up on a senior citizen. No, the senior citizen actually beats up on him. He's like kicking him around, throwing embers in his face. The only reason that Lucius doesn't die is because he has on some kind of magical armor, I guess, on his chest that he just so happened to put on before he left. Jesus fucking Christ, man. So then eventually he overpowers Denzel Washington with a rock, and then he gives this dumb speech. I hate when they do that in these movies where these guys are like talking and everybody can hear them. Like, you're outside. You don't have a microphone. How do people in the back hearing you? Giving this bullshit speech. Nobody really knows who this guy is. I mean, you can say whatever you want. I mean, this guy could have been a thief and he could have stole the ring and just said, hey, tell them I'm this person. They're automatically going to believe you because you found a ring. Hey, I got the president's letterhead because I'm the president. Oh, that's right. You are the president, sir. He has the letterhead. Stupid shit. Everyone just automatically listens to him. Yep, whatever he says is gospel because he said it. It's like, I can't believe it. Then at the end, they had to do the part where he picks up the dirt in his hand, and I thought Russell Crowe's ghost was gonna appear. I thought they were gonna have Maximus's ghost, and it was gonna be big fat Russell Crowe, and he was gonna be like in ghost form, and he was gonna be like, "Hello, my son, lay thine hands upon thine bowls," or something stupid like that. And I'm watching like, if Russell Crowe appears, and luckily they didn't show current day Russell Crowe. They just showed his hand in the wheat, and then the movie went off. God damn. Don't see this movie for fun. Don't see it. If you can see it for free, don't watch it. If you can see it for free, watch the first movie. If you saw the first movie too many times and you don't want to see it anymore, watch something else. Watch the Care Bears. Watch anything other than this movie. This movie is literally a waste of time. It is a pathetic. What this movie feels like is a pathetic remake of the first movie. The movie tried to follow in so many different ways, and even had some of the same actors, that it felt like just a remake. It didn't feel like a true sequel because a sequel wasn't needed, and the sequel is just a joke and a piece of garbage. Again, as I said earlier, the movie isn't a horrible movie. There's a lot of dumb shit that happens in it, but it's not a horrible movie. You can watch it. And if you haven't seen the first Gladiator, you can watch it and be like, "Oh, well, this was a passable film." You'll say that it's not even a good film. It has some great production value, but again, like I say in a lot of other these reviews, that's because of the money and the technology we have. That's the reason why a lot of these movies look good. It's not like they did a lot of work. It's just the money and the technology that we have now. It's easier to make these movies look the way that they look, so it looks nice. But the story, the actors do good jobs. None of the acting is bad. The acting is fine. If anything, Denzel Washington, who I said was and I still stand by, was the best part of the movie. If anything, Denzel Washington was the worst actor because it felt like he was being himself. It didn't feel like a character from that world, but he did such a, how can I put it? He added something to the movie that kind of brightened it, I guess, because it was just one of those by the book, step by step things where you know what's gonna happen next, and you know what you know what the villain's gonna do, you know who the villain's gonna be, you know what's gonna happen, you know everything that's gonna take place. So his character when he came in was kind of it was a kind of a breath of fresh air. It kind of mixed things up because you're like, oh, it kind of shocked you. Like, oh, what is this? Why is this character acting like this? There were little things that he did, little mannerisms that you paid attention to that kind of woke you up from just watching this dull by the numbers thing. So none of the acting was bad. The music was, I don't know, because I don't really remember any of the music. It's hard. It's not. The music wasn't memorable. The sets were good. Were great. Sets were great. Costumes were still great. Other than that, though, the story, which is the most important thing, wasn't good. It wasn't good at all. It was a passable story. So this was a passable movie. If you never heard of Gladiator or never saw it and you watch this, it's a passable, period piece, action period piece. If you've seen Gladiator, then this is a bad movie. It's a train wreck because you're gonna be judging this movie based on the original Gladiator, and that's a hard act to follow. And so don't waste your time watching this. Go watch something else. There is a movie that I saw in my youth called An American Tale, Fievel Goes West. Watch that. I don't know. Watch something else. All Dogs Go to Heaven. Go watch it. Have a Don Bluth marathon or some shit. But just avoid this. All right, I'm done.